But
Nice.
It's not about the size of the dog, it's about the size of the fight.
yep, Alex took my line. Thank you.
There we go.
But with that, how are you guys doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man.
It's just another great day in this weather in which is a high likelihood of wildfires, according to the DNR.
Yeah, I believe it's like a code red alert or something. I forget exactly what it's called, but something of that sort to where we could potentially have some wildfires on our hands.
Yo.
Stay out of the nature preserve today is all I have to say.
Or just don't start a fire. That's
W?
another good one.
Yeah, pretty much. How's the tanning going for all of you guys?
Oh, beautiful, as you can see.
Oh yeah, David. David's glowing right
yeah,
now.
you know, man, I get a lot of sun.
It's more burning than anything, but
Yeah.
we're getting there.
I understand.
It's gradual.
So,
I burn. That's
yeah,
heavy.
I understand. With that, we're going to move into the sports topics today. The Warhawk thought today is going to be, what is an athlete that you can never root for under any circumstance, or someone that is your least favorite player of all time? They can be from a rival team or someone that you just severely dislike. For instance, I know a lot of people could never root for someone like Tom Brady or LeBron James. David, we'll start with you.
I thought about this and I had a couple of options, but I'm going to have to go with Grayson Allen. To any Bucks fans watching this, I'm not sorry. I hate the man, but if it makes you feel any better, I hated him way before he was on the Bucks. I've disliked him since he really started to pop onto the scene in 2015 as a freshman at Duke. I remember when they played Michigan and he tripped Trey Burke, and or no, it wasn't Trey Burke. It was I forget who. It was Derek Walton Jr.
It always goes back to Michigan, doesn't it?
Well, it's just that's the first thing. I was like, wow, that looked blatant. And then I just remember seeing like right after in the NBA Summer League when he just punched Grant Williams, there was like a 5-minute compilation of just dirty Grayson Allen highlights, and I was like, all right, if people have enough clips of you that they can make a whole compilation of you doing suspect things, then it probably means that there's a problem with your behavior. And then obviously he's just kind of known as a dirty player. So yeah, it doesn't matter what team he's on. I can't root for him. I don't like him. It'd probably be better if I never met him in person, because I would have some choice words for that man.
I don't know about you, but I'd take a picture with him, probably dap him up a little bit, because he's on my team.
I bet you would.
Although, as
you'd love
a
that.
Wisconsin Badger fan, 2015 did hurt a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say that when he quote unquote fell on Kaminsky. Yeah, that was sick.
It is what it is. Us Badger fans will always complain about that game, though.
That's true.
Our one chance at a national championship.
I mean, when you get that close, man, I think a little bit of complaining is warranted, man. I mean, imagine how like SDSU fans must feel right now.
Just running into an absolute buzzsaw this year of UConn.
Yeah.
Alex, how about you?
Well, for me, I feel like it comes down to something that has always been, a figurative kick in the head and just about a literal one. Always just a pain in my heart, and that is just about any kicker that has played for the Broncos, Raiders, or Chiefs. At the current moment, that would be Brandon McManus, Daniel Carlson, and Harrison Butker. I remember I've had heartbreaking experiences with just about every single one of them. I know, like, coming back from high school one day, recorded the game, like, night before, couldn't watch it, so, was watching it then, and it's like, oh, it's such a close game, the Chargers have a shot, and then, like, the Chiefs, like, Butker hit, like, a 53-yarder, got called back for holding. He hit a 58-yarder, but the timeout was called, and then he hit the 58-yarder again to win the game, so that was great.
Man.
There was no way of icing him that day. He had ice in his veins.
And then, of course, like, the next week he missed, like, 2 PATs, so it just really spit in my eye. But then Brandon McManus, I know, what was it? Drew Lock and Cortland Sutton, another 2 names I'd like to add to the list. It was just a bomb down the field. And then, like, Drew Lock, of course, threw it short because he can't throw it that far. Cortland Sutton came back, the defender was covering him, but then since he came back, it was pass.
This turned into like a manifesto.
I got like 88% for just ranting about the Chargers in English once. It was great.
I have to say, I want to say the one time I did a pick show last semester for Hawk Talk, I predicted that the Chargers would be in a 24-24 game. Justin Herbert would throw a touchdown, or they would have been down 24-21. Justin Herbert throws a touchdown with approximately 2 minutes left, and then the defense folds and gives up a touchdown at the end of the game. And I want to say it didn't happen that week, but it had happened about 3 other times that season.
That game last year was just that was
Which game?
That was crazy.
All of the above.
The tie that could have
Tie.
been
Ooh,
you
oh,
versus the Raiders.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
I mean, what you gonna do?
Roger Goodell's script went absolutely crazy that night.
Yeah. The
Brandon Staley probably grimaced when he saw what he had to do, though.
the Raiders were presented with the opportunity. It's like, hey, if you tie, then we both make it in. And they're like, nah, bro, we ain't trying to play the Chiefs.
That would have been so cool.
We
I
ain't
would've
trying to
loved
play the
that
Chiefs.
so much, but you can't win them all. And then another name I'd like to throw, Marcus Peters with the Chiefs, just holding interceptions from Philip Rivers with one hand and just running around down the field after losing for like the 7th year in a row.
Sierra, how about you?
Okay, I've got a really basic answer. And like, I'm not one to hate people, or I more hate
I am.
teams than I do
Yeah.
individual athletes.
Let's go. Hate gang.
Don't hate, appreciate.
But there is one athlete I truly can't stand, and that is Tom Brady. I respect his greatness. He's a great player. I will not undermine any of that, but I cannot stand him as a person.
You see, I have a hard
Is there
time
a
with that.
specific reason why?
No, it just, everything that man does just makes me angry on the inside. It
I
pisses
just
me
like
off in
to-
every way.
I would like to defend Tom Brady for a moment because being a Chargers fan, I would have reason to hate him. I remember, I think 2018, their little playoff run, supposedly. That was like the
Well,
last.
when you guys lost like 55-7 to them.
Just completely destroyed, demolished all that. That was like Antonio Gates last season. Still doesn't get enough recognition. But that was like last season. It's like, you want to know what? I'm still going to be rooting for him in the Super Bowl because, of course, there was the Saints no call thing with the Rams.
Oh, the pass interference
the
call.
worst missed pass
Yeah.
interference call of all time.
Yeah, I rooted for him.
Only
in
like
that
the
one.
worst NFL moments,
No, yeah.
referee-wise, other than the fail Mary, of course.
Oh my god, that was.
I actually, I want to share my answer. This is not my real answer, but my least favorite player of all time was the guy in black and white that played for the Seahawks that one night. Absolute,
Nice.
absolute thievery of that game from the Packers because apparently grabbing the ball first in that situation, the refs decided the jump ball went to the offense instead of the defense. So
Oh, and I'd just like to throw in one more honorable mention. This is not football. This is not personal pain anymore. But Molina from the St. Louis Cardinals. I remember my grandma.
he's ruined. Him and Pujols have ruined a lot of moments for me.
But I know my grandma had a great nickname for him, but because of FCC regulations, I will not elaborate upon it.
That's what Safe Harbor is for, Alex.
Exactly. Well, we'll wait for later.
Yeah. My least favorite athletes of all time, I have a few. One of them being legendary Packers return man Brandon Bostic. If you guys know, you know. David, I'm sure knows. Alex, I'm sure knows. One of my least favorite players of all time. Not much needs to be said. And another one is a guy who I used to respect, and I don't anymore. That would be Zadarius Smith, former Packer.
I figured you were going to go that way.
Refused to shake hands with any of our captains during the coin toss this year. Just an absolutely disrespectful human being. Left the field without shaking anyone's hand. Proceeded to whine all of last season about not getting the captain job. First of all, that's not what you do if you want to be a captain. You don't sit there and whine about it on social media. You work hard and earn the respect of your teammates.
Yeah.
And he bought himself a chain with a giant C on it.
Let's go. Looked better on Kirk, I'm sure.
Kirko chains.
Yeah, his he definitely, like, his personality definitely kind of took a dive after he left the Packers, in my opinion.
He seemed like a likable guy for a few years too. He had us all fooled up here in Wisconsin. Like, we all respected him at one point.
I'll throw in another one I don't like off that. I'm starting to really not like is Ja Morant, just because
Anja?
just because of everything on social media. I love his game, but like, I'm really coming to dislike him as a person. I could say the same thing about Devin Booker. I really don't like Devin Booker either.
You don't like Kendall Jenner's ex?
I don't like Kendall Jenner's 8th NBA ex, no.
She could have a whole starting lineup.
That's what no, for real.
So it was fun getting to hear about everyone's least favorite players in sports.
Nice. That was therapeutic, I'd say.
Yeah, it was definitely a good time to get stuff off your chest. I want to say my favorite player, I know Sam did this, I believe, on Monday. My favorite player on a rival team was Jay Cutler because him and Sam Shields were one of the best wide receiver in air quotes and quarterback duos of all time.
Okay.
Same with Tremont Williams. Jay Cutler had immaculate chemistry with those two.
Love Jay Cutler, just did not care at all.
They called him a nickname for a good reason. He sat on the bike riding Will his team was out there in a NFC championship game.
He's living the best life.
Hey man,
really.
if he could have played, he would have, man.
All right, moving into our first real topic of the day, we're going to talk NHL. I'm going to put this out there. I've not talked as much hockey this year as I probably should have. I believe, Sierra, correct me if I'm wrong, today's the last day of the regular season.
Yes.
And with that, playoffs will be starting soon. I know your Devils are currently sitting at the 2 seed in the Metro Division.
Yes.
And I'll let you take it away. How are you feeling about your team's chances this year?
I think we're gonna do well. I'm still not sure because the Devils have the chance tonight to take top of Metro. I'm still not sure which team I want to play, because if we stay where we're at, we play the Rangers. But if we take top of Metro, I believe we're supposed to go against the Panthers.
How do you feel about potentially playing the Rangers? I know they have I don't know exactly, one sec. Their goalkeeper, Igor Shesterkin.
Sturkin.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
so bad
one of the
at
best
pronouncing.
goaltenders in the league. Absolutely elite. His save percentage is rather high. Is he having a down year this year, or is he still on top?
No, I think he's still having a better year compared to past. I'm not really sure.
I know he was in the MVP conversation last year. They also added Patrick Kane at the trade deadline this year. Definitely a huge acquisition. Do you feel confident in playing against them in your current matchup?
I will say, I think I would rather play the Rangers over the Panthers, just because we have not had the best track record.
It would be the Islanders, actually. As it stands right now.
As it stands now,
You would, would you be on the, you would stay here and you would play the Islanders, I believe, if you switched with the Hurricanes.
yeah. One of the accounts that I follow said the Panthers, and I was very confused. If it's between the Panthers and the Islanders, I'd much rather play the Islanders. But between the Panthers and Rangers, I think I would rather take the Rangers, just because we have a better track record this past season with playing them. Yeah, I'm not loving any of these matchups, but
Yeah, I know my friend who's a huge hockey fan was saying this is the most talented the league's ever been. By far, the most skilled hockey is being played in the last few years. It's definitely the golden generation. Do you have any favorites this year? Like, obviously, the Bruins had a record-breaking season points-wise. And I know Connor McDavid in the Oilers, I was going to say Orioles, excuse me. But I know they're primed to make a run as well.
the Oilers and the Avalanche are my favorites on the western side of the NHL. But staying on the eastern, if the Devils do lose, I made a promise with Evan that if the Devils are out of it and the Bruins are still in it, I will jump on the Bruins bandwagon and root for the Bruins with Evan.
I thought it was kind of funny. The other day, our good buddy Evan Chrisman, who's on Monday and Tuesday, he was telling me that the Bruins, he thought it was like amazing. He thought it was going to be a hot take to pick them to win the Stanley Cup this year when they quite literally had, I believe, the highest point scoring season of all time. I'm like, that's not a hot take at all.
This the same dude that eliminated Tiger Woods like in like round 3 of our
Tom
thing.
Brady.
Round 1, mind you. It was round 1.
round
It wasn't
one.
even round
Yeah.
3.
That's
It was round 1.
But there's also the whole thing with like the President's Cup, like curse. Like the last team to win the President's Cup and also win the Stanley Cup was the Blackhawks back in 2013.
Gang.
So it's just like history with the. So that's. I mean, I'm assuming that's maybe where he got it. I don't
Yeah, I know the Bruins have a really deep roster this year. I know Patrice Bergeron's a great player. David Pastrnak has over 100 points on the year, 60 goals. Definitely a really good season. Right winger for them. Patrice Bergeron always going to be a threat. He was, I believe, with the Wild before he was on the Bruins. I could be wrong on that.
I couldn't tell you.
But I know he's a good player. He's a veteran presence. I was surprised to see that the Penguins got knocked out this year, actually.
This ends their 16-year streak going to the playoffs, which
That's
is
a
the
shame.
longest active run in the Big Four American sports.
It's definitely a sign of the times to see them and the Capitals not be in the playoffs both at the same time, because Alex Ovechkin has been absolutely dominating the NHL for God knows how long at this point.
And with the Penguins being out, this is the first time since 2007 that all three of the tri-state area teams, the Rangers, Islanders, and Devils, have been in the playoffs together.
Wow.
Yeah, because that's a lot of teams in a very small concentration of land. If you don't mind me asking, if you know this at all, do you know how they divvy up, like, who's a fan of who out there?
I mean, I don't know. I don't live out there, but
Maybe just
I
like,
don't know
like
if
the county you live in or something? I don't know.
you live in this county, you have to support
Yeah.
this team.
Or
I think
else
that's
you're not
kinda
one
how
of
the-
us.
I think that's
Get 'em
kind of
outta
how the
here.
Yankees and Mets work. So, David, I know your Blackhawks did not make it, but how do you feel about some of the other teams in the tournament?
I checked out as soon as we traded to Brinkett. That was like our one offensive star. After that happened, I believe it was this past summer. I was like, and I saw we only got like a 4th round pick or something for him. I was like, all right, well, but it might be a generic pick. I'm not the biggest hockey mind, but I mean, I think I have to go with either the Bruins or the Oilers. Obviously, with Connor McDavid's one of the most electrifying players in all of hockey.
I want to say he has over 150 points on the year, which is absolutely unheard of in hockey standards. I know we were talking about
That's got to be like over at least a goal and an assist per game, right?
he just has, I don't think he's quite averaging a goal per game. I can pull up the stats really quick, but he has over an assist per game. He has 64 goals and 88 assists, and for reference, they only play, I believe it's 82 games in the year. Similar to basketball, or
Yeah.
about the
That's
same
absolutely-
amount.
82.
That is absolutely insane. That's almost double that. Wow, that's crazy.
The thing about the Oilers is that their defense is not it. They have Darnell Nurse, who's a decent defensive player, but other than that, they lost a few guys from last year's squad. They just have an insane offense, but I think this applies to all sports. Defense wins championships.
Yeah.
Because I think it's more reliable to be able to rely on your defense rather than have to lean on Draisaitl and McDavid to do everything. And Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who's also been a revelation for them so far this year, with over 100 points as well. But, Sierra, how do you feel about some of the other teams, like the Lightning or the Maple Leafs' chances this year?
Personally, I have the Lightning winning over the Maple Leafs just because the Maple Leafs.
The first round curse.
Yeah, Maple Leafs do not have the greatest track record in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
I want to say they were a 1 or a 2 seed last year and lost in the first round. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but
They have lost in the first round for like the past, I think it's like 5 consecutive years. Like,
I believe they have not won a first-round series since 2004, according to this site, and they're 0-10 since 2018 in game-clinching, or in series-clinching games. So,
they're a good team, but once you put them in the playoffs,
you listen,
They're just-
if I know anything, it's teams that are like always good on paper, talented, got a lot of expectations, and always disappoint and fail to either reach the playoffs or fail to do anything in the
so
playoffs.
Arizona in March Madness this year.
Yeah, or like the Vikings or something like that.
The thing is about the Vikings, though, sorry to tangent away from hockey, but
Darn.
they were not good on paper.
That's
They
true.
were an anomaly this year.
American
They had a
sports.
negative point differential. They were 31st in defense. It was fluky how they made the playoff, or like even made the
They
playoffs.
were just
this
really
year.
good in like high leverage situations.
This might be a hot take, but I think the Lions were better than them this year.
In the second
The
stretch,
grand scheme of
absolutely.
things, I could agree. Sorry, Sierra, we kind of went down a rabbit hole there.
no, you're
But
good.
these are fair points.
Yeah.
Sierra, how do you feel about Austin Matthews going to the playoffs for Toronto?
He's a good player. The Maple Leafs is not really a team I follow. I really don't really care to follow them. They're a great team. They've got great players, but it's just the playoffs are like their weak spot. They just can't go anywhere when they're in
I should be a Maple Leafs fan at this point.
Yeah, the
Sounds
Chargers of
sounds right up my
hockey.
alley.
Yeah,
Los
Alex
Angeles
likes
Maple Leafs.
Alex likes being a fan of those teams.
Guess I'm a glutton for punishment. I don't know.
Yeah, seems that way. I know the Stars are another 1 seed so far this year. They have only one guy with over 100 points, but they have a lot of balance. They have a lot of guys in the 70s. I think from the looks of things, they look to be a very good defensive team.
I'd say the Avalanche is still a team to.
They're definitely a team to look out for.
I mean,
They
they
won
won
the Stanley Cup last year. They're a very deep team. I remember talking to my friend. I know this was last year, but they don't really have a flaw anywhere. Just a really talented squad all
That
around.
usually helps in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think depth in any sport, when you get to the playoffs, being able to, like, if someone goes down or injured, I think that's why some teams do so much better in the playoffs than others, because I know when James Harden used to play with the Rockets, they would magically fizzle out in the playoffs because the play style
Because
was
they
so
ran
much
like
different.
7 deep.
Yeah. And they relied on him to drop about 50 points a game. And I think that might be similar to what the Oilers almost do every year with McDavid and Draisaitl. If they aren't producing, the team struggles.
Also, I know I talked about my Maple Leafs and their first round exit. If there's another first round team that I think is going to go out, I'm sorry, Carson, but I do not see the Seattle Kraken going past the first round.
Well, they're a wild card. That's the problem. They got a tough matchup.
Yeah, they've been winning games. They're a good team, but the teams that they're winning against are not in the playoffs. All these teams that are in the playoffs are the teams that they lose against.
So like a lot of fluff competition to get them to this point.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about the Bucks in the NBA this year. I know no one wants to stand with me on this, but I think we
We'll
are a
save
little
that.
bit.
We'll save that for the.
Yeah, we'll save that for a little
Okay.
bit, but
Interesting.
Okay. Stream.
I know there's going to be some great matchups in hockey, just all across the board. Pretty much every team that made the playoffs this year could potentially make a run. If I had to pick a champion, I'm going to go with the Oilers personally. David, what are your thoughts?
I'm also going to go with the Oilers.
I mean, I feel like the Bruins is just like the safe bet, the chalk bet. But
Well, the thing is about the Bruins, I was going to say this earlier, but I kind of forgot, was it's, in my opinion, the equivalent of picking the 73-9 Warriors or the 38-0 Kentucky team.
I mean, obviously
It's such a
dangers to
slam
it.
dunk that I feel like it's going to fail.
And I mean, that's a good point as well. Otherwise, I'd say the Avalanche is just the more consistent.
I think that's another
solid.
safe pick as well.
I'm going to.
Is it the Devils?
I mean, obviously, I'm
shock us?
biased and I want the Devils to win, but realistically, I'd probably go with Boston or Colorado. So Avalanche or Bruins.
I think those are both definitely two of the safest picks. We didn't really talk about them at all, but how were the Golden Knights this year?
That's a good point.
They were definitely. I know they made some noise a few years ago, being the first team in an expansion draft to go all the way to the NHL or the Stanley Cup final.
Did they win it or not? No.
I don't believe they did that
The
year.
Blues won it, right, that year?
I'm not 100% on that, but all I know is that they made the final, and it was a huge story across sports.
And they still really haven't slowed down since their existence.
Yeah, they really
began.
they've been incredibly successful since.
Gosh, imagine being a fan of that team.
Just coming out of nowhere and all of a
Never having a
sudden.
bad day, really.
Yeah, I mean they're on top from pretty much the beginning.
Unbelievable.
I should pay more attention to the western side of the NHL than I do, but from the games I've seen them play in, they're a decent team. They're good.
Yeah, that's kind of like me with the AL in baseball. I really only pay attention to the NL. Like, there would be days last year where we'd talk about the AL and I was just lost.
Yeah, like I could tell you all about Metro and then some about Atlantic, and then once you throw me into Western, I'm like,
It's not your area of
Yeah.
expertise. But with that, it was fun to incorporate hockey a little bit. I know I'm trying to get more into it. I really think if Wisconsin had a team, I'd pay a lot more attention.
Right now, they got to focus on trying to keep the baseball team.
Yeah, and the basketball team,
But,
because you never really know about them either.
Just one last little question for Sierra. I know you've been kind of interviewed, but you said, Bruins and the Avalanche. But for your personal Jersey Devils, what chance do you really give them? High chance, low chance?
I
Mid?
I want to say high chance. This has been a big breakout season for the Devils. Last year they didn't even get into the playoffs. Like this year was really their year. So even if we don't win the cup, which quite honestly I don't know if we will, this has still been a great year for them, and it's definitely the start of a new era for Jersey. So I'm excited for the upcoming years because I'm gonna say it's a high chance of a cup coming within the next 5-6 years.
Heard it here first, folks.
I'm gonna stand by that.
The Hawk Talk hot take of the day.
5 years down the road.
So,
Down the road, pull this back.
With that, we're going to transition into the main topic of today, which is going to be an NBA playoff bracket. We're going to go through every single matchup. Now, 2 of them are still not set with the play-in games. David Chicago Bulls facing off against the Heat, with the winner taking on my Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis Antetokounmpo, the person whose shirt I'm wearing right now. And in the West, the Thunder and Timberwolves will play in their play-in matchup. To have a date with the number 1 seed Denver Nuggets. David, really quick, I just want you to share a few statements about how you feeling about this game against the Heat with your team having play-in GOAT Patrick Beverley.
I was going to say, we are 1 game away from having Patrick Beverley just reach play-in immortality. And I know
He's going to be jumping on another scorer's table.
And I know for a fact that a team that gave up 21 offensive rebounds to Clint Capella is not going to stop us from that. As much as I like the Heat, they've always been a team that I've liked, especially since they got
I disagree.
Jimmy, who's one of the. In my opinion, this is a hot take. I think Jimmy's had a more of effect on the Bulls than Derrick Rose did. There's my hot take for the day. But I've always just been a big Jimmy Butler guy. I respect the way he carries himself, especially in the bubble. But there's only one player on the Heat above the height of 6'9" that has an impact, and it's Bam. Pat Riley has this fascination with trying to develop these undrafted G League project guards, and it worked for a while. But when it comes down to the playoffs, especially last year, we saw that they just don't really have anyone who can provide offense outside of Jimmy, because Hero was hurt and Bam was super inconsistent. He would have he had 29 points in Game 5, but besides for that, he
kind of pulls the vanishing act at times.
Yeah,
Like a John
and
Cena.
I don't really think it's completely all on him. He still had, I think 21 points and 9 rebounds in their game against the Hawks. It's just that nobody else can board on that team. Like I said, he's the only impact player on that team above 6'9", and although the Bulls aren't a very tall team, besides
You guys have Andre Drummond, who I
but
think
he doesn't play that much.
I mean, I feel like you guys could really use him in this game, though. If Billy Donovan wants to go to the just pound the glass mentality.
And that's where I'm not really that worried about the Heat. I definitely think the Raptors were a tougher team than the Heat, because I think the Bulls are actually a pretty deep team. We have a pretty solid bench. We had I think 32 points from the bench last night with guys like Kobe White, Patrick Williams, Derek Jones Jr., Ayo Dosunmu, guys like that. So I think we can honestly win the rebounding side of the ball with guys like Williams and Vucevic. So I think this is definitely still going to be a challenge, but
especially going to South Beach.
Yeah,
that's a house of horrors for any Bucks fan.
And without the greatest Chicago Bull of all time, DeMar DeRozan's daughter. I don't know if it's probably going to be a little bit tougher, but no, I have full confidence that we're gonna take the Heat.
So with that, are you guys in agreement on that really quick so we can jump in? And then in the West, this might be a hot take as well. I have the Thunder winning that game.
I don't think that's a hot take at all.
I think the Timberwolves, they definitely have a huge size advantage in this game, but the Thunder have a lot of athletes on their team, a lot of guys that can run and fly, a lot of young guys. I think Shea is just going to be I think the key for them is going to be hitting outside shots, because I know Rudy's going to have the paint locked down. Because
Rudy might not play.
Really?
Yeah, he got suspended, but he said in an interview that he wouldn't have played in their game against the Lakers anyway because he was having back spasms. So he might not even play in this game.
And we saw what Cat does in where he had Austin Reeves on him and decided not to attack him at all.
I actually think Cat and Mike Conley had amazing games against the Lakers, but without it's just gonna be their defense. They're missing their 2 best defenders in Gobert and Jaden McDaniels after he pulled a Devin Williams right before the playoffs started.
Yeah. Bad move by him as well.
Yeah, punched a wall, fractured his hand. So they're missing their two best switchable defenders. I don't think it's a hot take at all. I think the Thunder have a really intriguing core. You know, like you said, they're a really young team. Their oldest impact player is Shea, who's only like 24. But they have a really intriguing core of him, Josh Giddey.
Lugent's Dort, the Dorture Chamber, as you said.
One of the most underrated defenders in the league. And then you guys got guys like Jalen Williams, who's one of the most underrated rookies of the league.
I really think he could be a Rookie of the Year candidate this year.
I think he could too. I mean, I think it's got to be either him or Paulo. But
I think his stat I saw about Paulo, though, I think he's still clear, but
no, he's got like
he had one of the worst true shooting percentages in the entire league this year.
He has a bottom 5 true shooting percentage out of any player. So I think, and I'll throw out another hot take. I think Jalen Williams is the second best rookie in this class. But yeah, no, I think the Thunder are not only going to win, but I think they're capable of maybe even taking a game from the Nuggets.
So that's where we're going to go next, actually. I don't think we have to spend a lot of time on this just because, like I said, the Thunder don't have a lot of bigs. I really think that's their one flaw as a team. I think if they got a solid center this offseason, they could very well be a scary team next year.
Yeah.
Especially with guys like Josh Giddey and Shea continuing to only get better. Jalen Williams. Chet Holmgren's going to come back.
We don't even know what Chet is yet.
There's a lot up in the air, but I still think this is going to be on this NBA Pick'em. You get to choose either a sweep, 5, 6, or 7. I think. Do you guys have any other statements on what you think is going to happen in this series?
Nuggets in 5.
Nuggets in 5. Are we all in agreement on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next one is going to be Russell Westbrook versus Kevin Durant. The number 5 seeded Clippers versus the number 4 seeded Phoenix Suns. Sierra, you can start it off.
So I actually had the Suns for this one. I feel like the Suns just have a better roster. I know you mentioned you don't like some of their players, but with Booker and Chris Paul, I just feel like they've got veterans who know the playoffs. And plus, I'm pretty sure the Clippers are down Paul George.
Yeah.
I can counteract that, though, and say Kawhi is a 2-time champion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
None of those guys have ever won a title besides Durant, and he won them on, the greatest super team of all time.
That's true. But I feel like at this point, Chris Paul has just as good of a playoff pedigree as anyone in terms of like the games that he's played in. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah. But, so, Alex, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I feel like I have to side with the Suns reluctantly. I know the Clippers used to be a San Diegan team, so I still hold a little bit of sympathy within that regard. But I feel like the Suns, I know the depth was the big issue throughout a lot of it, and we were just thinking like, well, once they hit the playoffs, it's probably not going to be the same. I feel like they can maybe like squeak by one round, but after that, that's where it's really going to start eating away, tearing away at them, and they're just not.
Especially because a lot of their guys are going to have to play increased minutes just because it's the playoffs. I know when the Bucks played the Nets a few years ago, they were all playing upwards of 50 minutes a game when the games would go to overtime.
I know they'll just hit a wall, I think, after that, but I think they can get by the first.
So we have 2 votes for the Suns, 0 for the Clippers right now.
Yeah, it's sad with that. What happens? It's the same old story with the Clippers. They're always looked at when, if healthy, they're gonna be a scary team, and
they're never healthy. That's the problem.
That's the thing, and it's like
San Diego
the
curse.
potential. The potential is there because I remember 2 years ago when the Kawhi-less Clippers, Paul George took that team to the Western Conference Finals,
And then Paul George got hurt.
he was healthy the whole series.
Oh, he was? Okay.
Yeah, no, he took them and he beat the playoff P allegations and took the eventual Western Conference champions to 6 games in the Phoenix Suns. And honestly, if we're going off by depth, I think this is going to be a bit closer of a series just because the Clippers definitely can run like 8 or 9 deep if they want with guys like Norman Powell and Terrence Mann and they have Bones Highland now and like Mason Plumlee. They have impact guys that can come off the bench. But I just think this is a series where the stars for the Suns are just going to be able to outperform the Clippers on offense. Yeah, I do think depth is going to come into an issue, but I think that they have enough offensive firepower, especially since unfortunately Russ is not the same player that he used to be. He's only averaging like 15 points per game this year, so I think I'll say Suns in 6.
I was going to think Suns in 6 as well. I just think the Clippers, they lack that offensive firepower that the Suns have.
If
I know
PG,
the Suns
if
are not
was playing this might go to 7, but
I think Kawhi's gonna have a great series, but they just don't have enough around him. I don't
Yeah.
think to truly contend. I think they're a Paul George away from being a champion.
Yeah.
Always.
Unlike 2 years ago when they were a Kawhi from being a champion.
So it just flip flopped. So next one, I actually find this interesting. So this Pick'em challenge lists who people are picking. 78% of fans are choosing the number 6 seeded Golden State Warriors over the 3 seed freshly playoff drought broken Sacramento Kings. We're gonna try and keep these first round matchups a little shorter, just because we got to spend more time on the later ones. But David, your thoughts on the Kings versus Warriors?
It's a tough draw for the Kings after ending this playoff drought to draw.
Especially as the 3 seed, they absolutely had a breakout season.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Suns 2 years ago when they drew the Lakers in the first round. But I think something that could the X factor for the Kings is going to be Domantas Sabonis. The Warriors, as we know, haven't had a real center since Andrew Bogut, and I think that's consistently been like the weakest part of their teams that they've put together before the dynasty. And I think if he's in the post with Kevon Looney, I'm taking that matchup time and time again. But I just think it's going to come down to the offensive trio of Curry, Clay, and Poole being able to outshoot the Kings.
It's going to be a very high-scoring matchup, no doubt about that. Both of the teams, great offenses and suspect defenses.
It's just crazy to think that the 3 seed winning would be considered an upset. But with that being said, I don't like it. It's hard, obviously, because like the Warriors. Yes, they are atrocious away this year. They're 11-30 on the road, which is just absolutely terrible. But no team wants to see them in the first round. And you do have players on the Kings like Harrison Barnes and Davion Mitchell and guys like that who are going to be able to supplement like Malik Monk and obviously De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis as an offensive duo to build around. But I'm gonna have to say I'll say Warriors in 6. Unfortunately,
I think this series goes to 7 personally, but I'm also going to take the Warriors. Alex?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Warriors too. Unfortunately, I'm still really rooting out of all.
I want the Kings to win.
Yeah,
but
that's like my rooting interest at this point. But I also found out the Harrison Barnes had a minor ankle injury in practice.
Did he really?
Yeah, this happened like 2 hours ago. It was very recent. So this is also further unfortunate news.
I personally wouldn't sweat it too much if it's minor, but I would assume he's going to try and play through it. But it is something to take into effect.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it's just a shame, and especially breaking that 16-year drought for the playoffs was the second longest active. Well, now the first after Mariners obviously broke theirs. Now the Jets will be the longest active, so we'll see.
Aaron Rodgers.
But it really is just such a tough draw, getting the Warriors at a bit of a hotter point later on in the season. And I mean, they just had so much going and so much hope. Hopefully they can still pull it off, but I do see the Warriors in, I'll say 6 as well.
I also was going to say the Warriors in 6 just because they have more playoff experience than the Kings do, and the playoffs in any sport is just on a whole nother level than the regular season.
So I'm going to say Warriors in 6. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think the Kings do take at least 2 games. I think their offense is it's incredible this year. It really was. Mike Brown worked wonders for them.
I think Mike Brown is coach of the year.
Yeah.
I agree. Moving to the next one, this is going to be a very interesting first-round matchup. The second-seeded Memphis Grizzlies and the 7th-seeded Lakers. 53% of fans picked the Lakers. Sierra, your thoughts?
I also picked the Lakers. I was going to go Lakers in 7. I just feel like they have a larger roster with LeBron and Davis, and then I think without Adams being on the Grizzlies, that might pose a bit of an issue for them.
That is very truthful. Trey J, Jaren Jackson Jr. is a very good defender, though. He's, I believe, the leading candidate for Defensive Player of the Year this year. I think he's going to have his work cut out for him against...
3.5 blocks per game, yeah.
He's going to have his work cut out for him, though, against LeBron and Anthony Davis. But I'm personally going to go against you. I'm going to take Grizzlies in 7. I think the Lakers don't really have anyone truthful to stop Ja Morant. As long as he's playing, of course, and not doing other things.
As long as he just plays the game, not the game of life, or plays himself. But, yeah.
As long as he doesn't, record himself in one of these situations. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like I'll have to concur. I feel like the Grizzlies in 7 seems fair. At least go the distance.
It's going to be a hard-fought series, though, no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's why I'll take the time, but I just... I don't know. I still feel like the Lakers are just a bit overhyped. That 53 is like 40% Lakers fans at least.
Yeah, I the Lakers are 1,000% overrated in my opinion. I like this series because it's two teams I really don't like, so one of them is gonna be eliminated for sure. And while I despise the Grizzlies, I would be remiss if I didn't say that they have the coaching advantage with Taylor Jenkins. I think he's a much
Fun
better
facts:
coach.
both Mike Budenholzer tree descendants at this point.
Yeah. But I think Taylor Jenkins is just a far superior coach to Darvin Ham. I think the Grizzlies have a much deeper team than the Lakers. They can play guys like Xavier Tillman, John Konchar, Santi Aldama, all guys.
But you could also make the argument that guys like Mo Bamba, Jared Vanderbilt, D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, Sixth Man of the Year candidate for the Lakers.
Those are all starters. The guys I'm naming aren't starters for the Grizzlies.
I don't believe some of those guys are starters though.
No, the only one that wasn't a starter that you mentioned was Austin Reeves because Vanderbilt's the starting four.
Did I say Mo Bamba?
Mo Bamba, yeah, but Mo Bamba isn't. I don't think Mo Bamba isn't very good to be like.
But he's got such a good name.
He's got a song named after him.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think the Grizzlies are just deeper, even with the losses of Brandon Clark and Steven Adams. Xavier Tillman's a capable backup four, and like I said, yeah, guys like John Konchar, Santi Aldama, and then you have another very underrated sixth man in Tyus Jones coming off the bench. And I think, like you said, the Lakers just don't really have a guard that they can put on John Morant. And I hate to say this because I'm a huge D'Angelo Russell fan, but these last couple of playoffs, he really hasn't shown up.
Vanishing
in the Grizzlies series, he really he didn't have a game where he had more than 12 points, and it's sad to see it. And I still think D'Lo's a great player, but he's just the last couple playoff series he's been in, he really hasn't shown up. And I feel like, with all the defensive attention going to, AD in the post, getting guarded by Triple J, and LeBron being guarded, I think some offense is going to have to come from another person. And as much as I like guys like Austin Reeves and, D'Lo and Vanderbilt, like you said, Vanderbilt can't really score. Austin Reeves, in my opinion, is incredibly he's good, but he's overrated. And if D'Lo can't be that third option, then I'm not sure where the other offense is going to come from. So I'll say Lakers in 6, or Grizzlies in 6. Sorry.
I'm gonna put them in 7 because I believe 2 or 3 of us agreed on that. Just no offense to you, David.
Oh no, yeah.
And so now we move into the Eastern Conference. The absolute joke of a series: the Bucks and Bulls. Bucks in 4.
I would actually say at least give us okay.
Bucks in 5. Bucks in 5.
To be fair, we took 3 games from you in this regular season.
2.
No, it was 3.
2. We beat you twice.
Did you?
We beat you the last time, and we beat you the time before.
Oh
that.
no, you beat us without DeMar the second time though, and you only won by 8 points. So I think you got.
I don't believe we had our full team in that game either. We load managed some guys.
Yeah, but you had Giannis was playing and guys like that. So I feel like that's kind of enough. But I think you're giving us a little less credit than we deserve here. I think that obviously it's going to be hard to stop Giannis, but especially if Chris Middleton is he's still that ankle's still bothering him. Which
I believe he's going to be ready to play, but not 100%.
Well then, yeah, but I think our team is a little bit more built to stop big men. Well, not stop, but contain big men. Instead of just having Patrick Williams to put on Giannis, we can have other guys. We could put Drummond on him and try to contain him and everything like that. But I think our team is just a little bit more. I think our team's a little bit more capable than it was last year. And honestly, whoever Drew isn't guarding, I trust is gonna go off, because the one real weakness with the Bucks is that they don't really have any depth at shooting guard.
No.
So I think if Drew is on DeRozan, or if he's on Levine, then I trust the other guy to carry the offensive load. So I'd say Bucks in 5, but I wouldn't be surprised. I think we can push it to 6 maybe, because we almost pushed it to 6 last year.
Yeah, Bucks in 5.
Bucks in 5.
All right, we have a consensus here. So we're going to have to move through these other ones really quick. I'm going to leave the best one, the Cavs vs. Knicks, for last.
Okay.
Sixers, Brooklyn. I think the Sixers have this one pretty easily. I don't really think.
Revenge.
No,
He's
no.
not even playing.
Yeah, he's out. but
Maybe just redeem and revive for the big game.
his spirit will revive them.
That's all he ever's been.
I don't really think there's much of a debate here. I know
Yeah.
Mikal Bridges has been sensational for the Nets, but I just don't think they have enough
They
firepower
got-
to stop
they got a
Embiid,
bright-
Maxey, and Harden.
They got a bright future, you know, with
Yeah, they
Bridges
made
and-
the moves they needed to.
Bridges and Claxton and Dinwiddie. They got a bright future ahead of them, but it's not put together yet. But
I think they take 2. I'll go Sixers and 6.
I'll go Sixers in 5.
Yeah, I'd say 5.
I'll go 5 just for majority of
Okay.
making it easier.
I'll switch it to 5. Boston, Atlanta, Celtics in 4. No
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, Celtics in 4.
I don't think they even take a game. The last one is going to be Cavs versus Knicks. I think this is going to be a really intriguing series. I personally think the Cavs have this one just based on the fact that the Knicks don't really have as many big men depth-wise
If
as
Julius
the Cavs
Randle
do.
is playing-
I think they match up strangely with each other because the Cavs' strength is kind of in their big men a little bit. I know they have really good guards as well, but the Knicks, they really have strength in their guard positions.
I think if Julius Randle doesn't play, this is a 5-game series. But if he does play, then it's a 7-game series. But yeah, I think I like what you said. I think I actually think the Knicks big men match up with this Cavs pretty well. It's just that the Knicks big men are a lot more injury prone. Guys like Mitchell Robinson is always talked about for his like defensive prowess, but he's never played a season of more than 60 games. But I think it's going to come down to the guard play, and I think that the Cavs guard play is far superior. I think it's going to be interesting. I think this is the 2 best offseason acquisitions going up against each other in Mitchell and Brunson. But I trust the Cavs starting lineup more, so I'll go Cavs in 7. And if Randall plays.
We're assuming he is.
Yeah. Okay. Then yeah.
I'd say Cavs 6. I feel like there's just a better bit of momentum to it.
I was also going to say Cavs in 6.
Okay, we will go 6 just because.
Sure.
So on to the second round. In the West, first matchup, we're going to have to really zoom through the rest of these, unfortunately. If we had more time, we'd be able to discuss them a little more.
Discussed everything else.
I really think this is going to be a good matchup. Denver versus Phoenix. I think Denver's going to take this in 7. I think it's going to be a really long, hard-fought series. I think the Suns are just going to run out of gas, though, frankly. Just with the lack of depth that they have. Kevin Durant might even get injured in the series. We don't really know yet.
I can see the Suns running out of gas a little sooner, but yeah, definitely Denver in the total.
Fun fact: in games when Devin Booker played the Nuggets this year, he has his worst shooting splits of the season. He only averages 15.5 points per game against the Nuggets this year, and he's only scored on 2 possessions out of 13 when Bruce Brown has been guarding him. I think,
NBA superstar Bruce Brown.
yeah, oh yeah, one of the most underrated gets of the offseason, honestly. But yeah, I think that the Suns' lack of depth is going to come back to bite them. They only have once you get past the starting lineup, you only got T.J. Warren and Terrence Ross that are really deployable off the bench. So
Cameron Payne.
these are I guess because 2 years ago, I'd say so. But I think the Suns' lack of depth is going to come back to bite them there. And honestly, as good of a leader as Chris Paul is, I'm not sure if he's really capable of carrying that, taking some of the guard pressure off of Booker. So I'm gonna say Nuggets in 6.
I'd say 6. I feel like, as I said, run out of gas a little sooner than then.
I was going to say Nuggets in 6.
All right, so we will go Denver over Phoenix in 6 games. Next matchup is going to be another intriguing one. Rematch of last year, Warriors versus Memphis. I'm truly torn on this one. I don't know what to pick here.
I know
If
what
the
to pick.
Kings were here, I think I would pick the Grizzlies, but I'm going to go with Warriors in 7. I think it's going to be a great series again. Not a lot of defense is going to be being played, but the thing about the Warriors that scares me is their lack of big man depth. James Wiseman is no longer on their roster, and I think Trey J is going to have a feast.
I honestly think the thing is that Trey J didn't really even play that much in the post last year with Draymond as the primary defender. I actually think last year they did a really good job of trying to keep him out of the post and limit his post touches. And I think this is where their lack of big man depth is going to come back to bite them with no Brandon Clark and no Steven Adams. So I'm going to say Warriors in 6.
Dub's dub in 7.
I was going to take Warriors in 7.
So we have the 6-seeded Golden State Warriors in 7. Now here's going to be my hot take of the day. Bucks versus Cavs. I'm sorry, Milwaukee. I think Cleveland's winning this in 7. I think the Cavs have such great big man depth.
I think you
they
could say
match up
Jared
incredibly
Allen is
well.
One of the only guys, one of the best equipped players to defend Giannis.
I would argue Evan Mobley's honestly in the same boat there.
Either one of them, yeah. I think
The Bucks
that's
are going to have a hard time containing both Mitchell and Garland at the same time.
'Cause
I
it's
really
like what I
think
said
the
with the
Cavs
Bulls, you know, it's like
match up so
whoever-
well with the Bucks. Don't get me wrong. I could easily see Milwaukee winning this series.
It's like whoever Drew isn't guarding is gonna have a
Go
mismatch.
absolutely
Yeah.
berserk. But I'm going to take the Cavs in 7 here. I'm probably pissing off my mom, my brother, and my dad for that one. But
I'm gonna take the Bucks in 7, but I actually think that I actually would agree with you on most parts. I think the Cavs have the luxury of having two of the best, like I said, the best two equipped players to. I won't say stop Giannis, contain Giannis maybe. I think their guard play is better. I think their depth is probably the same, but you could argue it might be a little better with guys like, Karis LeVert.
I would actually argue the Bucks have better depth personally, but
I think it's pretty close. I think with Jay Crowder it's a lot closer, yeah. But I think that the Bucks. I think that the Bucks and Giannis's pedigree is going to be enough because I think that this the one thing that this team is lacking now that Kevin Love and Rajon Rondo are gone is they don't really have much playoff experience.
yeah.
But I think this is going to be a huge test to see if Donovan Mitchell can
Ascend to superstardom.
Yep. Because I think the one thing holding him back is his unsuccessful
pedigree.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I say it's going to go to 7 games. And I'll take the Cavs too. I believe I had taken them as a dark horse early for one of our tournament talks before it all began.
I think this is going to be a fun matchup. I definitely see it going to 7 games, and I'm actually going to side with the Bucks on this one.
So I'm going to flip a coin. The Bucks will be heads, and the Cavs will be tails to determine this. We are going to flipacoin.com, and the Bucks. It will be the Cavs in 7 in this matchup. So the
Take that,
one-seeded Bucks will be knocked out. Next up is the Sixers versus Celtics. I see the Celtics winning this one in 6. I think Embiid and I think Harden's going to pull another vanishing act in the playoffs. I think Boston, they don't really have a flaw in their roster. They really don't. I
think the biggest thing for them is just health.
Yeah. That's really their only issue. I think we're all in agreement on this. Sorry, Brian Gale, if you're listening, but
I would say if the I would say maybe even Celtics in 5 if Harden pulls his vanishing act.
That'd be my only.
Embiid can't do it all himself. I think Tobias Harris is probably going to struggle too.
Taking Boston in 6.
So we'll go 6 because I said 6,
Sure.
and I'm
Just 'cause you
superior,
said 6.
obviously. But next up is going to be the Western Conference Finals, Nuggets versus Warriors. We've seen this matchup before. The Warriors swept the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets are going to be out for vengeance. The thing about the Nuggets that I'm always worried about is their health. Jamal Murray and Michael Porter have both missed long periods of time over the last few years. For that reason, I'm taking the Warriors again.
Really?
I think the Warriors are going to pull this out in 6.
I'm going to take the Nuggets in 6. I think that this is the first year that Jokic has had an actual team around him since 2019. And I don't really know who is going to contain Jokic on the Warriors. The problem is that the Warriors were able to focus like Draymond and Kevon Looney and just seal them off from the paint and everything like that because the second best player in that team was Will Barton. But now that, there's actual outside shooting and other shot creation outside of Jokic, Michael Porter Jr. is one of the best contested shot makers in the league. And they have a pretty good bench as well. Guys like Christian Braun. They have Reggie Jackson now off the bench, which is a good get. I'm going to take the Nuggets in 6 here.
Nuggets 7.
I was going to say Nuggets 7.
So we are going to go with the Nuggets in 7 here.
Overruled.
Well, it's because I was the Warriors vote, so
Yeah.
it kind
You're
of
not
evens
the
it
power
out.
anymore.
Yeah.
Power for the people.
The voters have spoken. And then in the Eastern Conference Finals, we will have the LeBron James-less Cleveland Cavaliers with their first real taste of success since he has been gone, and the Boston Celtics. I think Boston is honestly my finals pick this year, so I'm just going to go with them in 6.
I think that this has been a good run for Cleveland. I think they got some great building blocks for the future, and I think
They're going to be even scarier next year.
This run is going to do a lot for them, but I think the Celtics are already there. Arguably one of the best rebounds after losing their head coach, losing a couple guys, and they could have Danilo Gallinari back as well.
That's even scarier for their depth.
Yeah, I would have to go with the Celtics in maybe 5.
Yeah, Cinderella run ends in Celtics in 6.
I'm going to take Boston in 5.
We'll go 5 for this one because it balances out.
Yeah.
And then our NBA Finals, which will be our final thought today. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to get to it. The Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, and Michael Porter versus Jason Tatum, Robert Williams, Grant Williams, and all the other ones, Jaylen Brown,
I was going to say,
Malcolm
you said
Brogdon.
Grant Williams, you didn't say Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, they were the first ones that came to my head. But I think this is going to be a great series. I think the Celtics have the tools in place, however, though, to stop Jokic. I think Robert Williams and Horford, obviously. Tatum's a really good wing defender. Brown's a really good wing defender. I think Boston they truly don't really have a flaw, in my opinion. Maybe the one that I could pick out would be a point guard. They don't have a true point guard. And even then, Malcolm Brogdon can play that role off the bench if they need him to. I got Boston in 6 again.
I have Nuggets in 6, and for the one reason is that if you want to talk about a flaw in the Celtics game is that they don't take care of the basketball very well. The Celtics, even though they were 3rd in offensive efficiency, they were also 5th in turnover rate this year. And if you remember last year, Jason Tatum became the first player in NBA history to have over 100 turnovers in a single playoff run. And that was really what killed them in the Warriors series. And while they do have largely the same team that brought them there, I just think that, like I said, their lack of a true floor general. And someone like Malcolm Brogdon, unfortunately, at this stage of his career, is not going to be able to play, 45, 50 minutes per night to, handle the offense like that. And with Marcus Smart and Jason Tatum, in my opinion, are 2 of the most turnover-prone stars in the league.
I wouldn't even say Marcus Smart's a star.
No, not anymore. I'm just good that the depoy is pretty much while I'm saying with that. But I just think the Nuggets take care of the basketball a lot better. Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets are undefeated. They're 42-0 when Jokic drops a triple-double. And
that's going to be the key for them then.
Yep. And like I said, I think just with a fully healthy team, the Nuggets can't be stopped this year. They're my pick. I'm going to say Nuggets in 6.
Boston 7.
I'm going to take Boston in 6.
We will go Boston in 7 here because it's kind of the middle ground between everybody. So the 91-7 The Edge champion of the NBA Finals this year will be the now 19 ring Boston Celtics.
How many do the Lakers have? Because I know that
17.
Then this will be their 17th as well because the Lakers had one more. The Lakers winning the COVID year meant that they had one more than the Celtics. So they would retie with the Lakers.
Balance it out.
Yeah.
So with that, this will be the 18th championship for Boston.
It's the 18th?
I believe, yes.
Oh, no.
They were tied right now. They're tied right now.
They're tied right now?
They had one up on the Lakers, if I'm not mistaken, in the past.
Okay. Interesting. I thought it was. I might have to look that up.
So, and with that, I think Boston will win in 7. I think it's going to be a great series, however, but... does anyone have a final statement for today? Just really quick before we're off the air.
14 days, 1 hour, and 40 seconds till the NFL draft.
Very specific, Alex.
I was
I got
right.
the
The
timer.
Celtics have 16. This would be their 17th.
All right, so David was correct here.
Yeah.
I'll throw it out there. I kind of mentioned it earlier with the Devils, Islanders, and Rangers all being in the NHL playoffs and the Knicks and Nets being in the NBA playoffs. This is the first year that the 5 of them have been in the playoffs since
And
94.
Also, I might add that the Jets and Giants are both looking very optimistic this year as well. Definitely a lot of promise in the New York area if you're a
Jets a
New
little
York
mystic.
sports fan. The Mets have a lot of money spent. So did the Yankees. They both hypothetically should be World Series contenders as well. Definitely great time to be a New York sports fan. And with that, this has wrapped up another edition of Hawk Talk here on 91.7 The Edge, WSUW Whitewater. We will be back next week on Monday with our good friend Sam Strash hosting. It's going to be another good show. Make sure to tune into that. And thank you for listening tonight. For David, Alex, and Sierra, I'm Chris. Have a good night.
Little dilly about a good guy, though. Need no heart attack, man. Swayze and Penny